Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi guys, welcome to episode 637 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Heidi, and I am so happy you're here. I love that I'm finally here on video too, even though it's not perfect, and that's perfectly fine. If I waited for it to be perfect, it wouldn't happen. Now, I've known that this is where I wanted it to go for a long time, but it just felt kind of right now. Life is like that, right? When you're ready, when we truly decide it's time, that's when we will take the actions to make it happen. But everything we've done up to that point has been really beneficial in getting us ready. So if you're pulled towards something, whatever it is, don't undervalue the journey. Like, don't think you're failing because you haven't reached that goal yet. Just know that if you keep moving forward in the direction of that goal, what's meant for you is going to happen. It's going to. You're not failing. You're growing. You're learning. And the only way you can truly fail is if you quit. Now, you can pivot, but never quit just because it's not moving as fast as you want it to. Or don't quit because it's harder than you thought it would be, because that's part of the growth. And I'm here growing right along with you. So thank you for showing up for these twice a week episodes. They're under 15 minutes. And really what they do is they help us keep our head in the game, because our head, that's where we win or lose. Remember that right here. All right. So speaking of things that are hard, I sometimes wish all things would be easy, but I also know at the same time that there would be no growth in that. Now, as humans, we want things to be easy. We want the people to be nice. Raise your hand if that's you, because it's definitely me. Like, I want my mornings to be smooth. I want people to be nice, and I kind of want zero drama. But what if the very thing we're dodging is actually the thing that makes us better? Okay, a couple of days ago, I was listening to Joe Rogan's new episode with Bobby Kennedy. It was full of just great gems. At one point, Joe asked Bobby how he handles it when people come up to him in public. Because for every 10 people who are nice, who are warm and complimentary to him, there's usually one who yells something angry or is really mean to him. And Joe's like, how do you not let that get to you? And Bobby's answer was brilliant. He said, I view every single interaction as a message from God. Now, that was not what I was expecting him to say. So I had to really think about it in my head for a minute before moving on. I literally had to pause the podcast. But he went on to say that if everybody was always loving him and telling him he's perfect, he might get a little complacent. He might stop growing. But when someone is angry, he actually takes a second and listens, because maybe, just maybe, they have a point. Maybe there's something he hasn't seen or hasn't done yet. And I thought that was a really amazing, enlightened way to handle those mean interactions. It's not your first thing you want to do, but I thought it was beautiful, because I've said it before that we're wired for comfort. Our brains love the dopamine hit of, hey, you're doing great. You're doing a good job. That's what we want to hear. And we really hate when people tell us stuff that we don't want to hear. We hate the sting of criticism. So we might just scroll past the mean comment, or we avoid the hard conversation. We like to stay in our little bubble where everyone's nice and nothing is hard. But here's what Bobby's story reminded me, is that bubble that we like to stay in, that's where growth goes to die. I mean, think about it. The times that you have leveled up in your life, like in your health or your relationships or your career, did they come from everything being easy and everyone clapping, or did they come from the tough feedback, the uncomfortable truth, the one person who wouldn't let you off the hook? I'll never forget when my trainer, Kevin, said, you like to be comfortable, and that's where you want to live. And I was like, I do not. I'm here. I'm working out. But he was right. To a degree, I like to be comfortable, and I am actively pushing myself past my comfort zone right now and not allowing myself to get distracted. And the more I do that, the more I realize how right he was. But that's okay. It's all right. It wasn't time. It wasn't time for me to actually put myself on video yet, but it is now. And, I remember when I really first started my podcast, been years ago. It was right around COVID, beginning of COVID. And I would let my husband hear every episode before I published it. And there were a lot of times where he was like, "Oh, you need to re-record that one. Your energy was kind of off, or that was too slow or too fast, or you sounded blasé." And sometimes it would be 2 or 3 times on the same episode where he'd say, "Hey, you need to go and redo it." And when I say that was kind of uncomfortable, that's really putting it nicely. Because I could feel as he was listening, and I could tell he wasn't liking it. Like my face would get red and I get a little frustrated. But you know what? I also always recorded it again because I knew he was right. But it wasn't my first instinct. Like, it wasn't fun to hear. My first instinct was to always defend myself. And my second instinct was to stop having him listen before I published. Neither of those, though, would have moved me forward in a positive way. See, I knew he was making me better and making the message I delivered more powerful. It wasn't comfortable for him either. He didn't want to hurt my feelings. He wanted to say, "Honey, it's perfect." But he knew I also wanted to hear the truth. And it really did make me better to do that. Now I've done it so long that I know when I need to re-record, but I did have to go through a lot of pain to get to that point. And there have been other times in my life, like where I've had conversations with my little sister Molly, where she says something to me that stings a little bit. And my first thought is, well, she's just being difficult. That's not true about me. But then when I allow myself to be open to the idea that, well, maybe she has a point. I remember one time she said that I always want people to think positively to the point where I don't really want to listen when they're venting about their bad day. So I just keep trying to point out the good, when really maybe I should just be quiet and let them vent. Giving it some thought, I was like, okay, I can see that. She's right. So now I do try to ask if she wants to vent or if she wants my input. Most of the time she just wants to vent because she already knows the right thing to do. But that didn't feel good to hear from her, because honestly, I always try to come from a place of love. But even then, it still may not be the right thing to do at the time. And that was a really valuable lesson learned for me. It's just because you're coming from a place of love, it doesn't mean that you get to just, word vomit on people positivity. Even though that's what you feel is the right thing to do, it may not be. And that was her point. And I learned that. And so now I'm actively working on trying to listen more. And maybe not just try to point out where they could be more positive. So for you guys, maybe the next time someone snaps at you at work, or maybe they say a mean comment online, or they, I don't know, do something bad in traffic, you could take a breath and ask, okay, hold on. Is there even a 1% chance that they have a point? I mean, did you maybe kind of pull out in front of them? Or maybe you've been late to work a little bit. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is there even a 1% chance that they have a point? Because that single little pause, instead of just immediately reacting, that little pause, it can change everything. I mean, you could even follow Bobby's words and let every interaction be like a message from the universe. Like literally, you could say it in your head. And I do this. I did it even before listening to that podcast. I'll say, okay, what is this trying to tell me? What am I needing to learn here? Even if somebody's rude to you, like the barista is rude, or the keyboard warriors, those people that sit there and just give bad, are mean. It does kind of take the personal sting out of it when you ask that. What is it? What am I learning here? What do I need to learn here? It takes the sting out, and it kind of turns it into a little bit of curiosity. So maybe you get a bit of criticism from someone, and instead of being defensive like I was first with my husband, you could even say, you know what? I know that was really hard to say, but I'm actually really grateful that you did. And you can watch how fast the energy shifts. And then also how much respect you suddenly have for yourself, because instead of letting that criticism feel like a personal attack, you turn it into a positive, and it feels really good. Even just saying it now, it felt like a nice way to handle criticism. as long as it's constructive, of course. Don't let anybody walk all over you. You see, we say we want easy and nice, but we really want is to become the best version of ourselves. And that version only shows up when we let the uncomfortable voices in. So the next time someone isn't nice, don't just survive it. Listen, like it might be the most important message you get all week. Because sometimes the one person willing to tell you the truth is the exact person you needed. I have a few people like that in my life, and I love them for that. If this episode resonated even a little, maybe screenshot it and send it to the friend who always keeps it real with you. You can tag them and you can tell them thank you for being honest. And also come find me on YouTube or Spotify and tell me what's one angry message that actually changed you for the better. I read every single message. I love you guys. I'm rooting for you, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.